What's up guys, Phoenix here. This video is going to be another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile video, and this time it is going to be on my updated Mermail Atlantean deck list for the April 2016 format. Now, the ban list took FTKs majorly out of the format. There are still some that exist, but then it also very heavily hindered Draco Pals from being able to perform with the hits to Wavering Eyes, the hits to Draco Face-Off, and the hits to Ignister. So the format, at least the beginning of it, has been greatly thrown into more of a triangle format with Burning Abyss variants, Cosmo, and Monarch variants being all three in contention to being the best decks. Now, all of those decks still, as far as I'm aware, love to go first, and if that's the case, then this deck has only gotten a little bit stronger. Now, this deck has suffered some indirect hits, but I mean, the only indirect hit it really received was really Norden going to 1, otherwise, and Upstart Goblin going to 1, but otherwise, the deck has been largely unscathed and is still as decent as it was before. In fact, I'm actually more comfortable playing this deck now simply because Draco Pals not being as big of a threat means that decks that can just vomit out turn 1 Dwellers or turn 1 Titanic Galaxies, protecting the counter traps that they have set, are much less of an option and threat. Actually, none of the decks in the current format can actually just vomit out turn 1 Dweller or vomit out a Dweller on demand because, like I said, it's Burning Abyss variants, Cosmo variants, and Monarch variants that are very much the top 3 decks right now, and this can just kind of be an outlier. But anyway, the deck is 40 cards, obvious 3 Neptabyss, the most important card, 1 Diva, and then 1 Undyne and 1 Controller, just to be extra basic essential copies of Neptabyss, just extra ways to trigger your Dragoons. And there are also just neat little combos that I like to perform where you can actually just get a Pike off of a Gund, off of like a Megalo, and then you're able to search Undyne and normal summon it in hands that you did not have access to Neptabyss. But it's just it's a little extra consistency enabler, even though like drawing Controller is aids, but it also just gives you extra ways to generate extra cards for the things that you will see later. But for the Atlanteans, 2 Dragoons, 2 Marksmen, and still 2 Heavy Infantry. I'm considering cutting this down to 1. It depends on how much value it yields in the format. This card really only yields value against like Pendulum decks. Like against Cosmos, it can like make you force them to tag out of their big ships or something. You can like pop Cosmo Towns with Dweller up, but that's about it. And against Monarchs, it does have some utility to like pop the field spell, so you can then instant fusion for like Norden and then kill them. But otherwise, it doesn't have a lot of value anymore, so it could easily probably get cut down to 1 inside the second copy. The Moulin Glace, because this card is forever important. Like, Jesus, this card is amazing. And for the Mermails, triple Megalo and triple Teus, just to be engine enablers. Teus is just, it's not the best, but it's, as I've always said, it's the highest reward for the least investment card that you could play in this deck. And it allows you to have hands where like you open with Dragoons and you can just have a low risk investment to get to your Neptabyss or Diva, and also being able to like just open this plus Marksman plus Neptabyss, allowing you to clear the way for the Neptabyss to hit by like baiting with the Teus and the Marksman is also very important and crucial. For the rest of the Mermails, I play 2 Pike, the 1 Lind, and 2 Gund. Lind has a little bit more value now simply because of the fact that the format is full of floaters and monarchs, and the game is a lot slower. It's definitely not a turn 1 game anymore, where you have to like kill them immediately. That's still going to be your game plan. Your game plan is still going to be to kill them as quickly as possible, yes, but the format has slowed down, at least preemptively, enough for a Lind and a Sphere to make its way back into the main deck and allow you to float into cards and have that other additional option, because of the fact that you could just, like, Lind and Sphere are very good against Monarchs and against Cosmo, not so much against Burning Abyss, but you have to deal with that deck in other methodologies anyway. And that's all for the real monsters. That's 24 monsters, and then the last 4 monsters are hand traps, 2 Max C and 2 Gamma Seal. This card is in the main deck specifically because of the fact that Burning Abyss is easily like the hardest matchup, as well as like Cosmos when they set up Dark Destroyer in hand, and like these cards are all great against Burning Abyss, specifically because if they summon Beatrice, that's a huge problem, because you can summon Neptabyss and they can just Farfa it away, effectively ending your turn. You need to have a very specific card combination to make that not relevant in your hand in terms of combo cards. But with Gamseal, you can actually just tribute their Beatrice, summon this to their field, and then like you don't have to worry about any of that because your entire deck can play through their traps, stuff like that, and it doesn't trigger Beatrice's effect because it wasn't destroyed, it was tributed, stuff like that. I could easily see these going up in quantity in the future to like 3 and 3 once I figure out the cards that I want to just trim out of the main deck to give it more spaces for them. But Gamseal has always been one of my favorite cards in this deck, and like, you don't have to run Chalice in the main anymore, and this is just like an out to Dark Claws, this is an out to Dark Destroyers, like, this is an out to a lot of different problem cards the deck has, while also being a water, making it a combo piece effectively. But that's the entire monster lineup. That's 28 monsters. There are 11 spells, and then 1 trap in the deck. For the spells, 1 for 1, triple instant fusion, double salvage. I think this card is very good and very worth playing again, simply because of like Lind and Gund getting a little bit more of an increased role in this deck, as well as this just allows you to do things like add back Neptibus to your hand. And if you can do that, like, you can add Neptibus back to your hand, and that effectively turns Pikes into rank 4s, because you can Pike, discard Neptibus, and then Neptibus can bring back the Dragoons. So that makes a lot less of the strain of not having 2 Nordens. It makes a lot of that strain be a little bit alleviated. If you need to make the second rank 4, it's definitely possible, but otherwise, this card just gives you more combo pieces, and that's really good. And like I said, you don't have to main Chalice in this deck anymore, simply because there's no deck that can vomit out turn 1 Dweller in the format that's tier 1 status right now. But 2 Twin Twister, I'm considering upping this to 3 as well. But this card just works really well in this deck, because everything you do, as long as you're playing the game, gives you extra cards, and this allows you to just out back row, and then it just works really well with Salvage as well, being a way to get you extra cards to use with Twin Twister, basically. But the last spells are 1 of Raigeki, Upstart, and Abyss Scale of the Mizuchi, and then the 1 trap in the deck is the obvious Abyss Sphere. Still running the 1 Upstart. Consistency is an issue for this deck, and you definitely want to maximize it, but you should still probably just be playing the 1 copy of Upstart in literally any deck you play, because for the same reason 37 was better than 40, 39 is definitely going to be better than 40. So, I mean, and this deck is definitely just an outlier in the fact that it can OTK well over 12,000 damage consistently. So, like, having 3 Upstarts has never been an issue, and having to OTK through 3 Upstarts has never been an issue, but, like, the fact that Upstarts at 1 just inherently hurts the consistency of this deck just a tiny, tiny bit, but overall, not that big of a problem. For the extra deck, for rank 7s, 1 Abyss Gaius, 1 Dracosac, and 1 Big Eye. Big Eye I've almost actually never made. I could consider cutting it, but, I mean, this extra deck kind of loose. Just in terms of all the cards that you make, you only actually make like 5 of them. Hope Woven Spider Shark, Castell, Emerald, and Double Dweller. There's supposed to be a 101 in here, but I actually just do not own one. The thing that I would consider cutting for 101 would either be between Castell or between the second Dweller. The second Dweller has honestly never come up, but like it's in here for like the capability of it possibly coming up, maybe. But you can honestly just cut this for the 101. I mean, I need to figure out something to cut for 101, and I need to purchase one. Simply because I've been borrowing one the last like 5 different times I've played this deck at any sort of event or locals, and I have to keep giving it back. So, damn. But for Synchros, Trishula, Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, Stardust Charge Warrior, Armory Arm, and Tatsunoko. Now, this is a very, like, these cards specifically are very strange to some people. Trishula and Tatsunoko are actually just 100% staple. Odd Eyes Meteor Burst is really good, specifically in sided games, because of things like Gores in the potential mirror, the potential Gores in the mirror, Battle Faders, Speedroid Menkos, stuff like that. In sided games specifically, or you could just make this against Cosmos in any hand that you can't access a Dweller, and that also just gives you another outlet there. But this just negates the effects of everything in the battle phase, so it stops you from losing to things like Trag, Gores, and things. If you're going into a Max C in a sided game, this is like the safest option to make. Stardust Charge Warrior over Delorean. Delorean was almost never actually being summoned and used for its effect when I was playing the combos, and even then, like, most of them were worse. And the fact that this can actually attack every special summon monster your opponent controls each, making it like a pseudo Susanoo or a Zero Priest, is actually very relevant when you're starting to like try to swing for OTKs. And the fact that it lets you draw a card on summon just gives you another chance to dig for that power card like a Salvage or an Instant Fusion. And Armory Arm is my favorite card in this extra deck. It makes it a lot easier to kill people through boards that are heavily established. And there are a lot of just simple 2-card combos that like just let you do Armory Arm onto a Megalo, and that Megalo is at like 42 or 47. and you just hit 2 monsters because the Megalo has 2 attacks. It's literally like BLS Armory Arm. And it's very, very, very much an option in this deck. And it's something I've always enjoyed, but people are playing Herald of the Arclight. And I guess they're doing that for the mirror, but like, I wouldn't really expect that to come up more than this specifically in the mirror as well, because the mirror is going to dedicate itself to making a huge board. And if you're able to clear that board and not kill them, that's a problem. But this just allows you to have the capability in very, very multiple amounts of hands to just kill people through boards. Like, even if you can't access Dweller, like, you're able to just like Armory Arm and on Megalo and attack 2 big ships, and like, that's game. Like, it's very easy for you to just do some quick OTKs with this card, as well as there's a few instances that they involve instant fusion, but you can summon Stardust Charge Warrior and then instant fusion like Norden, bring back Diva, and then make Armory Arm and equip it to Stardust Charge Warrior, so that it's 3,000 and it can attack all the monsters your opponent controls once each. Like, that's hardly ever better than the Megalo play, but like, it is an option if your opponent has just like a slew of things that are out that you want to clear the path for Megalo to come down. Like, it's very, very much an option. There are definitely things that you are allowed to do with that, but Tatsunoko just being the staple synchro, Trishula being the staple synchro, the poster child for the synchro era. Like, I mean, I just felt the need to explain those 3, simply because a lot of people, I feel like, would ask me about it. And then for the 2 instant fusion targets, Elder Entity Norden and Thousand Eyes Restrict. Thousand Eyes, I literally hope to never have to summon this card, but if I do have to summon it, I hope that I literally am just resigning myself to the fact that I'm literally going to summon it, use it to suck up my opponent's monster, and then synchro off with it with like a Diva into like Tatsunoko or something, so that like I get rid of their monster and I can still kill them, because, you know, Thousand Eyes prevents you from killing them, and that is an issue slightly. But I'm kind of triggered because I literally was like, alright, Norden 1/1, and what I wanted to put in my extra deck was just another level 4 water, just any other level 4 water that was an instant fusion target, just to like make things like, just so I could have access into Spider Shark off of like not having to Norden, so I could like literally just instant fusion a level 4 water and then bring out Dragoons off of like Neptibus's effect or something like that, or just normal summon Pike and make Hope Woven. But the only other level 4 water fusion in the game that can be instant fusioned is Rare Fish, and it's an OCG exclusive. The only other level 4 water is a Neospatian Aqua Neos or something like that. Not Aqua Neos, Marine Dolphin, I think, and it can only be summoned through NEX. So, like, that's a problem, and that's an issue. So, literally, the only other good target I have was any other level 4 or just Thousand Eyes. And I just figured Thousand Eyes would be better, simply because, in the same reason Norden is good, where it lets you play with extra cards, Thousand Eyes is good as well, because you can just use it to synchro with, and you can also just use it as a bit of spot removal before you synchro with it. So, literally, all that explanation means very little to you if you are not interested in playing this deck at the highest capability that you want to try and play it at, but I literally try to put a lot of thought process into everything that I do with deck building, specifically this deck, because you kind of have to. And like I said, Abysphere and Lind have a lot more value this format, because every deck kind of struggles with floaters. Like, the BA Mirror is like retarded because of the fact that floaters exist. Cosmo can't really deal with this effectively unless they're just blowing you out, and the same with Monarchs. Like, Monarchs struggles to get over boards with like floaters. If you already had an established board, they have to answer as well. So, all that kind of stuff just makes this deck list what it currently is. So, anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to all the nonsense you usually do. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to address them if they are something that I feel like I haven't a relevant answer to. Basically, if you want to support me, clicking ads on my videos and removing ad block is more than sufficient. I cannot express how much it helps, and I cannot express how much it is appreciated. But other than that, that's basically it. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. But other than that, as always, guys, take care.